2006's The Wicker Man is a remake of an earlier movie with the same name. That being said, this one's got something going for it that the earlier one didn't, and it's something that you can't deny makes it objectively better. It stars Nicolas Cage. And when you're thinking a Nicolas Cage movie, you're thinking something right up this alley.
And it's not to be missed, for it has the two key qualities of a classic Nick Cage action film. Number one,
all the dialogue is either whispered or screamed.
And of course, number two,
everything in the movie is on fire.
This movie, it did not disappoint. And I don't know if that's a good thing or if it's a bad thing. You tell you what, we're just going to get into it. Right off the bat, we're introduced to Nicolas Cage's character, who I've already forgotten the name of. We're just going to call him Nick or Nick Cage throughout the entire thing because I don't really care. He's a no-nonsense cop. And all he's doing out there is writing tickets on abandoned cars, eating salads, and saving dolls for little girls that might need a little bit of an attitude adjustment.
That escalated quickly.
Oh goodness, Ron Burgundy is right. We're not even 5 minutes into the movie, including the opening credits, and this thing's already gone off the rails harder than that semi went off the road. Oh my gosh. Now Nick takes this incident pretty hard. All right, the loss of a little girl who, albeit had a bad attitude, but still totally didn't deserve to die, and this poor mother as well in the car. Man, it really hits him hard. So he decides to take some time off, but there's just some unanswered questions. Things get a little weirder too when he gets a letter from someone I'm assuming is an ex-lover of sorts. She now has a kid. Hooray, good for her, but you notice this?
And I need your help. I should explain.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little crazy here, but that girl looks an awful lot like the one that just went kaboom and then disappeared into thin air, so maybe some foreshadowing of sorts? On top of getting a random phone call with seemingly no one on the other end.
Hello? Hello?
Things are just getting a little more odd for old Nick Cage. How will he respond to this?
Wow. The plot thickens.
There's always a suspiciously thick plot in a Nick Cage movie. Come on, Copper, you should know that. Nick Cage had the opportunity here to go ahead and make it apparent that there is something weird going on. That there's a kid who exploded in a car that looks identical to the kid in the photograph, but he doesn't do it. He's just sitting there staring at it right there in the office and doesn't make mention of it anywhere at all. He just immediately hops onto a boat and starts making his way over there to Summer's Isle, the cultiest sounding place in the entire planet. Are you kidding me? Summer's Isle. Are you kidding me? Yeah, dude, I just bought this great timeshare. Yeah, it's on this quaint little island called Summer's Isle. No. You just got inducted into a cult at Summer's Isle. Places aren't named Summer's Isle and just like are some nice little happy suburb area, some little tropical island where rich people go to vacation. It's a cult. I'm calling it now. But I can't expect this guy to be thinking straight. Bro is hallucinating. He's taking meds too, and I'm gonna blow the lid off these theories right here. They never actually explore what the meds are, so you're just gonna have to deal with that. But I really do genuinely wonder what the heck it was and if they were planning on exploring it, because this dude has some wildly vivid hallucinations constantly. He has a conversation with the delivery man to the island, and after that classic Nick Cage charm just fails the charisma check, he bribes his way onto it.
Ahoy there.
What was that?
I don't know what you're supposed to say.
After landing and making a little hike through the woods to make it appear as though the delivery man wasn't the one that brought him there, he gets stopped in his tracks by some women that immediately catch on to the fact that the delivery man obviously brought him there. Clearly. His suit's dry. He didn't swim there. How else did he get there aside from the lone plane that's currently at the dock? Come on. Use a little common sense there. Speaking of common sense, after the conversation that he has with these women, I'm not gonna lie, if it were me, I would have just turned around. I wouldn't have gone further into an island that was so obviously filled with smiley little cultists.
I think this guy's a lost cause. He's obviously made up his mind. Why don't we just cut our losses and get out of here?
But again, this guy's crazy, okay? Possibly even crazier than the cultists, so who am I to really judge? Nick Cage makes it up the hill a little bit further into the island and proceeds to enter into the inn, where he meets the innkeeper, this gruff woman that ain't there for no one's business, okay? She didn't want to deal with it. But it doesn't matter because Willow finally shows up as well. Instead of immediately following her upstairs, he asks for a drink, to which the innkeeper provides some nice, delicious meat. And I gotta tell you, maybe I was wrong about these cultists, okay? If they're about the mead, they're clearly, they at least know how to party. And if they know how to party, I can at least respect that. But then he kills a bee. He's allergic to bees. He lets the innkeeper know. They make mead on the island. Is this foreshadowing? Do they worship bees on this freaking island? Willow and Nick meet up the next day alone for a private conversation. He promises to get her daughter back, and he asks for some answers. He gets no answers at all. Back at the inn, he listens in on a little conversation between the innkeeper and a couple of twins, I think. I think they're twins. They speak in unison sometimes, which is creepy. The fact that they're twins makes it even more creepy. He goes to bed that night and has a nice, vivid nightmare. Not only does he have hallucinations, but he also has nice, vivid nightmares, which kind of hinted at the fact that maybe the car that blew up at the beginning of the movie was actually empty the entire time. But that begs the question, the girl that he imagined was in the car then, if he was hallucinating, truly, still looks like the girl in the photo. Did he already have that photo? Was he just sitting on that for a while? Because this seemed urgent out of nowhere. Did he get it afterwards? And if so, what is this? Is this something supernatural going on? Something feeding his brain hole with the images of the girl? What? There's no time to think about that, though, because he spots the girl right outside the inn. He heads out there immediately and follows her right into a barn that he obviously saw her go into. She obviously went up to the second floor, but he goes up to the second floor and he finds nothing but a red cloak and some food. And then he narrowly avoids death as the floor gives out beneath him. And as he's hanging on for dear life, there's some shadowy figure running around on the ground floor. Is it the girl? I don't know. But you hear constant whispers going on. Seems a little weird to me. I would be leaving now. The next day, this no-nonsense cop wakes up bright and early for some more investigations. He gets into some weird conversations, including one with this blonde woman that really wants off the island, and she's being super weird about it. He kind of brushes it off and heads up to the schoolhouse where he gets into a big old interrogation with the teacher and the class. The teacher and the kids are all playing dumb, acting like this Rowan kid never existed to begin with. But Willow ain't no liar. He's not having this. He's here for answers.
You little liars. Rowan Woodward is your classmate, isn't she? Isn't she?
He heads to the church where Sister Rose, the teacher, told him Rowan's body was actually buried the entire time. Along the way, he gets a few more directions from someone that looks identical to Sister Rose, but apparently is not Sister Rose. Another set of twins, perhaps? They don't really mention it, but it's a little weird. There's an awful lot of twins on this island. I'm kind of wondering if there's something to that. Upon getting there, he enters into another conversation with his ex, who was mysteriously just kind of lurking around the area. He had been looking for her all day, and for some odd reason, she just happened to be at the church that Sister Rose led him to. It's a little weird, but a suspicion of mine gets confirmed here.
I do not know that our daughter's going to be okay.
You're telling me I'm Rowan's father?
I knew it! Rowan's father is Nick Cage, and with him being from somewhere other than the island, that spells trouble for a kid stuck in a cult. He finds some creepy drawings underneath Rowan's desk and hears the plane coming in, so he rushes out to the dock and ends up nodding off into some freaky nightmares again. This dude, seriously, the delivery man never returns, which is quite suspicious, but what makes matters worse is that the radio to the plane seems dead. Get that plane and get off the island, man. You need to get some help, bro. Instead of leaving the island, he decides to snoop around the local doctor's house. You see, Willow had told him that that's the only place on the island where photographs get taken, apparently. So he decides to go look for some answers over there, and he finds some weird stuff, some interesting things, some super weird things, and it leads to an argument with Willow where he confronts her about something, which in turn leads to an incredibly awkward kissing scene. And I gotta tell you, I want no more of that. None of that. Dude was acting like he had never been kissed before in his entire life. So then he goes on a nice leisurely little bike ride and he comes across a couple of guys. He tries to have a conversation with one of them after helping them load up some logs and then saving their life, and he can't get a single word out of them. Instead of really worrying about anything like that, he continues on and finds himself just a wee bit distracted. And so, of course, what follows is the scene I'm going to show you, and I want you to think in your heart of hearts, if you would have handled this situation exactly the same, because he hits a beehive and then things get really wonky. Now, in that situation, would you have just thrown down the bike and ran straight through the entire beehive-filled field? If your answer to that is no, then you just don't have that Nick Cage mindset. Honestly, I feel sorry for you. He wakes up with the doctor over him after having just taken care of him, and guess what? He's in Sister Summersile's own house, which is exactly where he wanted to be. See, Nick Cage gets results, and he gets permission to exhume his daughter's body. To which he does, and this is where things get pretty freaking wacko mode, because honestly, remember earlier, I was wondering if he had gotten that letter before the incident took place at the beginning of the movie, but this kind of throws any of that out the window, because he unburies the body to find that there was no body in there at all. It's just the doll that he had saved from the middle of the road, except this thing was burned. But how he imagined the doll? He imagined the doll at the beginning of the movie, so something supernatural very clearly is going on, but then he hears crying, so then he goes down to a crypt beneath the ruins of the church from earlier in the movie, and someone traps him in there. Don't ask me why. They don't kill him or anything like that, but someone straight up traps him there. The next morning, Willow finds him holding on for dear life so that he doesn't drown. He had been there for hours, and she gets him out of there, and he's finally acknowledging the fact that something's weird here, that people just don't want him on the island or something like that. He's finally acknowledging it.
How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned?
Gee, dude, you think? You should really get off the island and get some freaking help. But of course, he doesn't do that. He immediately guns it directly to Summersile's house again, only to find some progressively freakier and freakier things going on there, which makes him increasingly unhinged. He just starts to have a little mental break, and he just tears through the island, literally tearing the island apart, trying to find this kid, and he ends up on the shore where something very suspicious, another Mondo big red flag, it just shows up right in front of his face. The plane from earlier is now completely submerged underwater, and he finds the body of the delivery man with the eyes and the mouth sewed up just on the shore. And does he leave? No. No, of course he doesn't leave to go and get help. He said that he could practically swim it earlier. He could have done it. He could have left. He doesn't. He goes back into the island again. Do you know why he does this? It's not because he loves it. It's because he's Nick Cage, and the time for nice cop is over! Hiding in a bear costume, he puts himself directly into the group of people heading to the sacrifice. Why even try and find Rowan when they'll just lead him right to it? And that's exactly what they do. He gets to Rowan in time to save her. He unties her from the little post that she's going to be burned alive in, and they escape into the woods, losing the tail along the way and getting just the ever so slightest bit of cell service. He finally yells for help to someone, and then Rowan just goes and runs on ahead. You know, like little kids do, they're not the smartest of them all, or maybe they are, because she runs into a field ahead of him and he sprints right after her, only to find that she's running directly to Sister Summersile. And she asks, "Did I do good?" or something like that. And Nick Cage is just standing there in the field, confused as all get out. And buddy, I would tell you, right now, you've been played. You've very clearly been played, homie, all right? Call M. Night Shyamalan and tell him that the twist of the century was not actually done by him, because that's exactly what happened. He had been played. He's the sacrifice, everyone.
Stay back!
Dang, Willow. That's cold-blooded. Nick Cage gets easily overpowered. No amount of roundhouse kicks to the face can possibly save him from this situation. He has no bullets. He's got nothing going for him. They break his legs and they start to hoist him up. Just a sight to behold. Something that people from Burning Man could only dream of achieving, okay? This thing is enormous. And through rope, they just go ahead and get him up there, and he's stuck right at the top of the Wicker Man. To which Rowan does the honors and lights on fire, and there we go. Sorry, Nick. And to make matters worse, too, bees were up there. That sucks. Dude's allergic to bees. You guys really need to be a little more considerate of stuff like that. But the movie's not quite over yet, okay? It's 6 months later, and we're back in the city. Over at a bar, we see a young James Franco and some other guy just at the bar trolling around for some booty. And two attractive women happen to walk in. Are they just regular women? No. Nope. It's freaking Willow and that one blonde girl that wanted off the island, apparently. Allegedly wanted off the island. Well, she finally got her wish of getting off the island so that she could shack up with a guy and continue the tradition because, I'm sorry, Nick, your sacrifice just wasn't enough. And that, my friends, is the Wicker Man. I did this thing as a poll, all right? That I had 3 options over in the YouTube community section. And so the overwhelming majority of people wanted the Wicker Man. So every single one of you that voted for it, you better be right here at the end of the movie so that I can just berate you for what you've done to me. Making me watch this movie? What the heck? I mean, it's a Nick Cage movie. I didn't expect anything less. I got the Nick Cage experience. I'm kind of satisfied with that and a little bit terrified as well. But guys, I could have had over the top, a nice wholesome movie about a deadbeat Sylvester Stallone trucker dad that just wants to become the arm wrestling champion of the world, which I might still do that down the road, but that's beside the point. Instead, I got this. You all wanted this. This was such a majority. 80% of you wanted the Wicker Man. Why? Do you hate me? Is that what this is? I'm just kidding. It was a fun watch. If you like Nick Cage, you'd probably like this movie. If not, I don't know. The twists were kind of obvious. I kind of saw a lot of them coming a mile away. That being said, still enjoyable. Still a fun little watch. But again, it's because of Nick Cage. It's Nick Cage, He's got that charm to him. Not one that can pass charisma checks, but one that's just so fun to watch him fail at. You know what? I think I'm just going to go back to picking my own deep dives. Okay? I'm going to leave you all out of this until you get your act together and can just be nice to me and pick something that isn't some form of torture in one way or another to watch. So in the meantime, while you're waiting for the next deep dive, check out my older ones right here. Smiling Friends Deep Dive right there. Check that out, please. Leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.